Well, welcome to this episode of Weekly Word. Father Ed Estock here.
Father Dominic.
Father Rosser.
We are contemplating the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time. Time is flying. We also, here in North Royalton, Ohio, are recognizing or celebrating our Home Days celebration. So there'll be a parade. Actually, it's stepping off from St. Albert the Great about 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And we are celebrating always here at St. Albert. We also have something coming up after this Sunday's Mass, and that is our very first end of summer bash. So, in the spirit of Father Dominic and Partey, we are having a food trucks, music, some, I think it's a steel can, whatever, the steel drum musician, and kids games and some fun from 5 to 8 on Friday night. So put that on your calendar. So anyway, but we have some pretty grim scriptures because they are really talking about the challenge, the narrow way or the narrow door into heaven. And so that's what we were talking about. I kind of feel sorry for the people in the gospel story when they find out that Jesus doesn't know where they came from, and they are saying, what are you talking about? We sat at your table, we listened to you preach, and all that kind of stuff. How can you say you don't know us? And then he repeats it again. And so I'm thinking about all of us, because I'm sure this is certainly the case with me, how I might be deceived into believing that I know God and that God knows me. So that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly it's a great challenge that God is offering us in these readings, but hopefully a challenge that we can accept. And so, I mean, the first one is maybe a little bit more hopeful. God's bringing in people from all over, welcoming all nations, which might have been a little difficult for the Jewish people to grasp, because they're like, hold on, we're God's chosen people. Leave these people out of it. But the other two readings, I think, also have that great challenge. The second one talks about how we as faithful Christians, the deeper we go in our faith, the more God knows that we can take discipline and challenge. Just like a good sports coach, a kid who's bought in, he's going to push him. He's going to give him an extra lap, make him shoot, 20 more free throws because he knows he has more in him. So the deeper we go in our faith, it's not the more comfortable we get, the more challenge that God throws at us, because he knows we could do better. And the last the last reading of the gospel talks about how we can't get comfortable, but need to truly connect with Christ, have that deep relationship that will assure us that he will know us in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the one thing that jumps out to me about the gospel is, Jesus has asked this question: who is going to be saved? Who is going to go to heaven? And this is where he responds, kind of with a list of things, and he says, we ate and drank with you, we listened to you preach in our cities, and so why aren't we going to be saved? Why aren't we for sure going to be there? And to me, it makes me think of the distinction between having a personal and a private relationship with Christ. Mm-hmm. I think so often in our lives, as Americans, as people who want to be very individual, we want to keep everything to ourselves. We're kind of even taught that way. You don't talk about religion. You keep it private. It's like it only matters what you're doing in your little sphere, in your own little room of prayer. But really what we're called to is not a private relationship with Christ, where it's just me and Jesus. but it's a personal relationship, recognizing that the Lord, our God, is a personal God, a God who knows and loves us intimately. And that's supposed to nourish us, supposed to form our hearts, supposed to form our lives, not just to be on the inside, but to bring that out into the world as well. So that kind of fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah in the first reading, we can help in that bringing together of all the nations, of all the peoples into relationship with God.
Yeah, so maybe a question. I was talking about, I used to at the funeral home, I would ask the family, well, tell me something about your dad, blah, blah, blah. And then I would ask, was he a religious person? And I stopped asking because people seemed to be angry that I was asking. Like, well, you know, they would give me some thing like, well, if you mean, did he go to mass every Sunday? No, I guess he didn't. I guess he wasn't religious. That was not what we're asking. But the fact is that maybe that would be a good question. If you don't want to think about yourself, think about your closest loved one who has died. Do you think that they are enjoying the beauty and the light of eternity? Do you? And then maybe then you can say, oh, I wonder, am I going to enjoy the beauty and the light of eternity? So try to make it maybe a little personal. Maybe this would be a great time to do some introspection and just to say, well, do I know the Lord Jesus and does he know me? And my grandmother used to say, because she kept living longer and she was suffering. So she used to say, well, the Lord doesn't know me and the devil doesn't want me. That's why she was living long. Let's hope that's not the case with my grandmother and with ourselves. So anyway, no.
Yeah, so we should really, it's a good time for us to reflect to and be willing to be challenged in our faith by God, by other people, and be joyful enough to share that with everyone else.
And we certainly have many, many, many opportunities here in this Catholic Christian community to get to know the Lord Jesus and get to know ourselves as his followers and his disciples and as the subjects in his kingdom. So maybe that would be a good response to this week's gospel as well. All right. Peace.
Peace.
Have a good week.